Hello, Algebra 1. Today we are doing Solving Quadratic Equations Day 6. Today we are going to start solving using the quadratic formula. Our learning target is I can solve quadratic equations algebraically. The homework that goes with this is quadratic worksheet number 11. Next we will learn to solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. But first, let us practice simplifying some expressions. Using order of operations, how would you simplify the following expression? So we have b squared minus 4ac. The first thing I would do, step 1, is substitute what a, b, and c equal into the expression. Step 2 is to take b squared and then multiply 4ac together. Step 3 is to combine what b squared equals and 4ac. When we say combined, you need to watch your signs because you could be adding or subtracting. So it's really important that in that third step you are watching your signs. Now let's try it together. So evaluate b squared minus 4ac. If a is 1, b is -3, and c equals -4. So I am going to do step 1, sub what a, b, c equal into the expression. So we get -3 squared minus 4 times 1 times -4. All right, -3 squared is a positive 9, and then -4 times 1 is -4, and then -4 times -4 is a positive 16. So again, it's really important when you combine, make sure you know your signs. All right, lastly, step 3, combine what b squared equals and 4ac. So 9 plus 16 is 25, and that would be your final answer. All right, go ahead and pause the video, try this next one on your own, and then I will go ahead and solve it with you. All right, when you solved it, you should have gotten 8. So walking through the steps. Step 1, you need to substitute what a, b, and c equal into the expression. So we get 4 squared minus 4 times -2 times -1. 4 squared is 16, and then -4 times -2 is a positive 8, but positive 8 times -1 is a -8. Again, when you do that multiplication, you really need to make sure you're watching your signs. And then step 3, combine what b squared equals and 4ac, and that gives you 8. All right, so moving on to adding another piece to that expression. So we have the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Steps 1, 2, and 3 are going to be the same. So go ahead, pause the video, and rewrite those down. Again, step 1, 2, and 3 are going to be the same. So pause the video and write those down. So at this time, you should already have steps 1 through 3 down if you pause the video. Step 4, okay, we're adding another step, another piece to this expression. So you are going to take the square root All right, so let's go ahead and solve this first problem. So a equals 1, b equals -3, and c equals -4. So we have the square root of b squared, which is -3 squared, minus 4. Our a is 1, our c is -4. All right, step 2, we are going to take what b squared and multiply for ac together. So -3 squared is a +9, and then -4 times 1 is -4. -4 times -4 is a +16. From there, we are going to combine b squared and 4ac. So 9 plus 16 is 25. And then step 4 is the new step that we've put in. We're going to take the square root. So the square root of 25 is 5. So therefore your final answer is 5. All right, go ahead and pause the video and try this next one on your own. All right, so I did step 1, 2, and 3 for you. So a equals -2, b equals 4, c equals -3. Substitute that into your expression, and you'd get the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times -2 times -1. 4 squared is 16. -4 times -2 is a +8. A +8 times -1 is a -8. So you get the square root of 16 minus 8. Again, it's really important that you're watching your signs. And then 16 minus 8 is 8. So we have the square root of 8. However, we can break this down. So 8 has a perfect square factor. So it would be the square root of 4 and the square root of 2. We can take the square root of 4, which is 2. However, we cannot take the square root of 2, so it stays radical 2, square root of 2, however you want to say that. So then your final answer would be 2 radical 2. All right, so now we are starting on the second page, okay? Again, steps 1 through 4 are going to be the same as the first page. So go ahead and pause this video to copy those down, and then we're going to go over step 5 together. All right, so for step 5, you're going to add and subtract -b and what the square root equals. Okay, so step 5, you're going to add and subtract -b and what the square root equals. When we see -b, that's really saying the opposite, okay? So make sure you're thinking about that as we go into this next expression. So -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac if a equals 1, b equals -3, and c equals -4. Okay, so step 1 says that we need to substitute what a, b, and c equal into the expression. So we have -3. Okay, here's why I said that it's always going to be, with that -b, it's always going to be opposite. So a -3 is really a +3. So just something to think about as you go along. And then plus or minus the square root of -3 squared minus 4. My A is 1. My C is -4. Okay, so this gives us a +3 plus or minus the square root. -3 squared is 9. And then -4 times 1 is -4. -4 times -4 is 16, so plus 16. Then we have 3 plus or minus the square root of 25. Step 3 is to combine those b squared and 4ac. Step 4 is to take the square root, so 3 plus or minus 5. Okay, for step 5, we're going to add and subtract. Okay, so this is going to give you 2 separate problems. So we'll get 3 plus 5, that's your adding, and then we'll get 3 minus 5, that's your subtraction. 3 plus 5 is 8. 3 minus 5 is -2. So your 2 answers would be 8 and -2. Go ahead and at this time pause the video to solve the next problem right below it. Alright, so for this problem, step 1, you're substituting everything in. Substitute what A, B, and C equals. Step 2, you take b squared and then you multiply 4ac together. Step 3, you combine b squared and 4ac, making sure that you're paying attention to your signs. Okay? Step 4, you're taking the square root of 8, so that gives you 4 plus or minus 2 radical 2, or 2 times the square root of 2, however you want to say it. Lastly, for step 5, you add and subtract what -b and what the radical equals. In this case, we have a 2 radical 2, so we have 4 plus 2 radical 2, and then 4 minus 2 radical 2. Remember, we can only combine like terms, and in order for us to add or subtract the radicals from each other, they have to be the same number under the radical. In this case, 4 does not have a radical, so we cannot combine them. So these are your 2 final answers. Alright, moving on to the next. Again, adding another step, adding more to our expression. So go ahead, pause the video, copy down step 1 through 5, and then we'll go through step 6 together. Alright, so at this time you should have paused the video and written down steps 1 through 5. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about step 6. So as you can see, we've added the 2a in the denominator. So that means that we are going to divide everything by 2 times a, 2a. Okay, let's go ahead and do this first example on our own. So step 1 is to substitute. So we have a equals 1, b equals -3, c equals -4. So we have 3 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so -3 squared, minus 4. Our a is 1, our c is -4. Then we have to put it all over 2a, so 2 times 1. Alright, step 2. Okay, so for step 2, we're going to take b squared and multiply 4ac together. So that gives us 3 plus or minus the square root. Negative 3 squared is 9. And then negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 4 is a positive 16. And then don't forget it's all over 2a. So in our 2a is 2 times 1. But I'm going to simplify that to 2 times 1 is just 2. All right, step 3. Now we combined b squared and 4ac, making sure that we watch our signs, okay? So we have 3 plus or minus the square root of 25 all over 2. Step 4, you're going to take the square root. And so that gives us 3 plus or minus 5 over 2. Step 5 is where we add and subtract. So we should have 3 plus 5 divided by 2. And then we should have 3 minus 5 divided by 2. 3 plus 5 is 8, so we get 8 over 2. 3 minus 5 is negative 2, so we get negative 2 over 2. Next we have step 6. And step 6 is to divide everything by 2a. In this case, our 2a is just 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. And in the other case, negative 2 divided by 2, it is negative 1. So your two answers are 4, and I'm going to put and negative 1. All right, now I'm going to let you go ahead, pause the video, try this one on your own, okay? And then after you pause the video, it'll show how to solve it on the screen. So pause the video, try this one on your own. All right, so far I have step 1, 2, 3, and 4 down for you. But I want to talk about when you get to step 5. When you get to step 5, you're going to make sure that you want to, for step 6, reduce. So in this case, negative 4 and negative 4, those reduce to 1. So for step 6, that dividing by 2a, okay, you're dividing negative 4 by negative 4 in both scenarios. So that would leave you with a positive 2 radical 2, and then a negative 2 radical 2 for your final answers.